Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nexus Gaming Series. I am Jayzon, and today I've got Dankstrom Hots with me as well. Thanks for joining me, Dank. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Having fun grinding out Hurley before next season. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well, enjoying a nice long weekend this weekend, and we've got a really good matchup for you tonight. Team Caliber versus Triton Heroes, two of the A Division teams that are pretty equal. This is the 4th and 5th seed, and percentage-wise is one of the best matchups we're seeing for power ranking. So it should be a pretty interesting match tonight. So it does look like we've got everybody in lobby, but we got just a couple. I think it'll be just a minute or two here before these teams are ready to go. We're starting just a tad early before 8, so no big surprise there. But our first battlefield is going to be Battlefield of Eternity. We'll go over the coin flip for you guys real quick. It was won by Team Caliber. They elected to ban out Infernal Shrines. Praxis Holdout was banned out by Triton. And then Battlefield of Eternity was picked by Team Caliber, who selected the first map pick. So first pick, first ban will go over to Triton.
So, Jay, have you seen what some of the strengths are for both this team yet? Both of these teams yet?
Yes, and we have done some NGS breakdowns, I believe, on both of these teams. So we'll go over that in just a second. But it looks like we are ready to start it up. And we are going to go into map number 1, which will be on the ever-popular Battlefield of Eternity. If I can get it to come up. There we go. Now we got it. Team Caliber versus Triton Heroes. So Caliber is a very, very strong team. They had a very strong start to the season, making it as high as 2nd in the standings at one point throughout the season. Started to stutter a little bit towards the end. Where Triton Heroes has been kind of staying in that general middle, around 4th, 5th, 6th throughout most of the season. So they've been a pretty consistent team, and so I'm not surprised to see them make the playoffs. Where Team Caliber maybe came up a little bit short, and the end of the season might be a little deflated, but we'll have to see going into this first game exactly how they're going to respond to that.
So I think it's pretty interesting just looking at the Maeve first ban on here. It's just telling us that team just doesn't want it at this point. They're not comfortable on it, or they just don't want to deal with it in this case for their game plan for this map.
Yeah, one of the really strong power plays you can have when you have a good Maiev player, or whoever's the strongest hero in the meta, when you have somebody that's good on them, is you can tend to ban out something else, something that's maybe a lower priority or something that counters your strategy, and then let the other team be forced to either ban that hero out or pick it out yourself. So right now it looks like Triton doesn't really have that, to your point, so kind of a bummer for them just having to get rid of it. But we will see Hanzo banned out on the other side. Great race potential, a lot of damage. Never a surprise to see him banned out here on BOE.
Yeah, I think this is one of the maps he's really viable on still, and so they're just going to deny some of those power picks. You still got Genji, Greymane, Li Ming, all good picks on this map as well, and then some powerhouses in Blaze and Mouthy all still standing up there. So, I'd be kind of interested in seeing what they prioritize, whether they're going to prioritize their DPS or some of that offlane potential.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of different strategies here on BOE. You can go with a more race-oriented comp. Sometimes that can tend to hurt your team fighting, though. So people will sometimes not want to see that too much. Sometimes teams will go with a more defensive-oriented build that's more team fighting based, so they can tend to try to get an XP lead. And right away, we're going to see ETC coming out. Definitely the highest contested tank in the game right now. Possibly rivaled by Blaze, but ETC seems to be head and shoulders against all the other CC tanks.
Yeah, just for a general first pick that doesn't really give anything away from your comp and still leaves 2 power picks to come up next that even gives you a potential to respond to what the other team's going to pick up here. But for two strong picks up here, I kind of expect Blaze to kind of be picked up in this rotation. I mean, there's just things said about his bunker that it's hard to play around. I mean, it's a 40-second cooldown. You got to save your team all the time.
So we are going to see the Li Ming coming out with the Genji as well. So right away, Team Caliber going with the high octane damage. Also picking up the Shimada brother that made it through the ban phase. So we'll have to see exactly how they want to extend on this. Genji, not well known for his PvE damage, so Team Caliber might be looking more towards the defensive and team fighting strategy here early.
Yeah, the reset composition. You've seen a lot of pro teams run versions of this in the past with Medivh and Diablo actually as well. Roll20 or Team 12 now was kind of famous for doing that.
Yeah, and Greymane also a lot of times utilized for that. I'm interested to see why they decided not to pick up the Greymane instead of maybe the Genji, who has that same reset sort of mechanic, especially with Go for the Throat at 10, but also has way better race than Genji. But we'll have to see exactly how they want to utilize that. They certainly have dive potential now.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned earlier they might just be prioritizing the team fight over all that. I think it'll be rough going into a Blaze. Malfurion also opens up the possibility of a Bracer on the backside. I'm not necessarily like that into what the other team's showing right now, but it's an option that Blue is going to have to consider now.
Yeah, I really like the Blaze pickup. It's very tanky on the front line. ETC and Blaze in the front line can be pretty difficult to get that first kill with the Li Ming on the other side and get that initial reset. And we will see Team Caliber banning out the Greymane now. So they didn't pick it themselves. They certainly don't want Triton Heroes to have it. So away it goes.
Yeah, I'm still just looking out here. So what other sort of tanks you might be looking for Triton Heroes over there? Anubarak is certainly a possibility, I think, with that. Setting up those range stuns just for a Genji Li Ming blow up for resets. You get a Cocoon, whoever you don't want to deal with, whether that be a Malfurion or Blaze or some other DPS that'll come out. But what do you think about the Malthael ban, Jay?
Yeah, the Malthael hover is interesting. A couple of really high XP tanks over on the side of Triton Heroes right now, so they probably don't want to see Malthael on the other side. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them go through that ban out. Malthael also just very strong in general. Very good with the reset-oriented comps with that last rights. So I think that's a very quality ban here from Triton.
Yeah, I think you're right at the dot there with the last rights, just helping the Genji Li Ming resets at times. Especially with the slow over time Malfurion heals. There's nothing big burst, though the Blaze Bunker is really fun to play around with a lot of those talents.
Yeah, they've already got pretty decent burst prevention with that bunker, as you mentioned, and again, just having high tank frontline kind of serves as that burst prevention in and of itself. But we'll have to see how they want to finish out the comp. We haven't seen the damage come out for Triton yet. They're holding their damage to the end, and they'll be able to see a lot of Team Caliber's comp here to be able to kind of shape what they want to do with that damage.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they're going to do, they're going to be able to live through it for the most part. This Blaze, ETC, Malfurion, that's a lot of hit points to get through. I think they're pretty safe. I'm curious if they're trying to bait out an Uther and then go into a Lunara as well.
The Crusade calls.
And yeah, they're going to hold that till last, just for problems like that. But both of these teams going with actually fairly decent-sized health pool front lines. Tyrael and Johanna don't necessarily have the highest hit point pool themselves, but the shields that they bring just enhance that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a very strong answer from Team Caliber here, with a couple of very high health pool tanks themselves. But also, like you said, saving that support for last. Now there's no chance that Triton's going to be able to turn the counter with that Lunara against Uther, or burst damage against maybe a Lucio, whatever Team Caliber wants to go with here at the end. They're going to have the picture of what Triton wants. Kind of that advantage that's not spoken of very much, which is actually being the second pick team, having that last pick to counter something.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised with the Johanna pick. It's very general, doesn't necessarily bring like any sort of special ability to the team fight behind some more of that survivability.
It's about damn.
So now Triton going to go with a little bit of burst, a little bit of sustain, and just generally a very well-rounded comp here for Triton. They don't They don't really specialize in anything, but they're a little bit good at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I like the Jaina into the Genji, actually, and with Tychus as well, it's not what I would have expected, but he's fairly strong. You know, he has options to do a lot of different things. But, you know, I'm liking the Johanna comp a little bit better. I'm not a huge fan of her as a tank usually, but I think that they have some more flashy tools that can pull off some kills.
Yeah, I think I like Team Caliber's comp here too. If this was purely a race comp, I do think that Triton has a little bit of an advantage in that between the Jaina burst damage, being able to throw a ton of damage down on the Immortal all at once, and it's upfront damage, unlike what you see with like a Gul'dan or a Lunara, where it's a lot of damage, but it's slow tick damage, where Jaina just has a lot up front to chunk the Immortal. But then they also have a lot of damage for the Tychus, so it's going to force Team Caliber to be a little bit defensive, I think, for a lot of these Immortal phases. But with the comp they have and overall the quality of team that I've seen that they are throughout the season, I think that they're up to the task.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the game plan for Johanna is basically to be more that mid-lining sort of peel, and just counter the Tychus ETC part, where Tyrael dives with your Genji, helps security kills, gives him a sanctification, gives him the shields that he might need to survive and get those resets on. So you got a dive buddy and a defensive tank.
All right, well, we are loading in here to game number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity. First, on the left, we've got Team Caliber. John is going to be playing the Johanna. Enigma is going to be on the Lucio. Jazz is going to be on the Genji. Seiyu Back is going to be on the Li Ming. And we're going to have Scooby on the Tyrael.
In 10 seconds.
And on this side, we're going to have Bezalis on the Blaze, Clutch Dock on Jaina, Karakov over there on Malfurion, My Mom is Cool over on Tychus, and Garuda on ETC.
That will be Triton Heroes over there on the red team. So we are going to see both teams respecting the general 4-1 standard rotation here. And we are going to see the solo laners that you would expect to see, and Tyrael and Blaze going up to the top lane. No big shockers here early, no curveballs.
So as we talk about some of that, how do you think Triton ever gets to the Li Ming in the back line? I mean, with this sort of front line and forward pressure with Lucio and Genji and Tyrael, like how do they ever threaten this Li Ming from just being able to throw damage from the back?
It's all on the ETC play, really. I think if he's able to get a good slide in onto Seiyu Back, he's got to get close enough. And if they can follow it up with the Root and the Jaina combo, that's where Li Ming starts to get in a little bit of trouble. And, you know, the Johanna can peel a little bit, but is not going to be able to stop a straight-up Jaina combo. And there it is, the slide in, the Root to follow. Actually falls on Genji, but a very nice reflect there. Able to throw a lot of damage back at him. Seiyu Back is looking at Clutch Dock, and I don't think there's a way that Jaina gets out of this. Garuda actually slides into peel, though, and they will walk away. Garuda proving to be wrong right out the gate here.
Yeah, it was really nice, actually, deflect from Jazz during that route just to be able to survive for that long. They almost got the counter kill, but Garuda, great play on the ETC with the peel.
So for now, both teams will back up and start to get that slow healing with both Lucio and Malfurion in this one. Both teams are going to want to step back and let their healers do their jobs. It takes a little bit of time, but a lot of sustained healing on both sides, but no real burst. Enigma, though, steps out way too far. Garuda's going to take that every time, and that's going to be first blood going over to Triton Heroes.
Yeah, I think a little bit too bold on Lucio. You might want to check the other wall or come across the other corner with that ETC CC and the Malfurion root follow-up. It's just, that's going to be a rough day for it. Yeah. Like you said, that's how they're going to kill the Li Ming, and it's only what's going to happen when you step too far forward.
Yeah, so Team Caliber just needing to really mind their positioning here against Garuda. ETC, well known for being the displacement tank that can get into the back line and get all kinds of CC. Once again, pretty much as soon as Enigma's back in lane, slides in, but this time goes too far. The turnaround is good, the damage is there, and that will be a big kill right as this Immortal's getting ready to spawn.
Yeah, they're going to start up the Mercs on the side of Caliber right away. So good timing on that. Triton's going to be a little bit late, but actually looks like they're going to avoid it altogether. They're going to look to set up for a defense.
Yeah, and with Clutch Dock, they do have quite a bit of defensive potential here. If they catch anybody out, again, with that ETC slide, so much burst damage, so much follow-up in the Tychus. But it does look like they position a little oddly here. They were positioning for the defense, but now they allowed Caliber to get in here and get a little damage. They will inevitably go in here. Ton of damage on Seiyu back, and Li Ming gets caught out as they do make that rotation after just a little bit of chunking onto the Immortal.
Yeah, nobody was really anchoring or warding in that bush underneath there. ETC comes with a great power slide. There's follow-up roots and Jaina damage all on top of it. Just secures the kills. And, you know, that's the deep root value of Malfurion at level 4 as well. Just keeps those DPSs there and secures that kill.
Meanwhile, we will see them diving back onto the two members here. They're going to force Garuda and Korkanov back for now, but the race is on, and it looks like it's going to actually be won slightly by Triton heroes as they were able to rotate their damage down. But now, Jaina, completely out of mana, is going to have to go back and tap. It's going to hurt them a little bit here in the race.
Yeah, I was going to see with Malfurion, he does have his Innervate up, so Jaina should get some pretty good cooldowns for this race here in just a second.
It's going to be so close. Both Immortals falling, but it does look like just by a little less than 700, Triton Heroes does end up coming back and being able to win that race. They've definitely got a little bit faster race potential here, and they'll take the first Immortal in the bot lane.
Which I think is really interesting watching later on as well as Lucio chased the base at level 4, so he's looking to get that extra boop range just to help deal with ETC's moshes later on. So he's anticipating playing farther up and actually trying to get that a little later.
Yeah, it can deny the slide if it's timed correctly. It can also boot people into those stun circles here on Battlefield of Eternity, so can be very influential. We'll have to see if he's able to pull that off later in. Slide comes in onto Genji, the root into the Immortal stun, and Genji gets completely blown up there. Very nice follow-up here from Triton Heroes once again.
Yeah, it was actually an excellent play by Garuda. Genji deflect was up, but his W loudspeaker displacement actually secured, basically stops that deflect from going on and let the kill occur.
So the first Immortal does go down, but the cost for Team Caliber is their bottom fort. They're also going to turn over here onto Triton Heroes and go ahead and get the well along with it and the camp behind it. But Team Caliber is coming in here. My Mom is Cool taking a lot of poke on the back end. They turn though, and once again they find Lucio coming too far forward. And Enigma is having a rough game here. Korkanov also being taken down by Jazz diving on in. Clutch is getting very low. Nice slide to peel by Garuda, but will he pay for it as he is in, maybe trying to pressure to try and get Jazz. But for now, it looks like they'll walk away with the with that one kill there.
With Clutch Doctor escaping on that, that's almost downright criminal that they let that Jaina get out of there for free almost. It's very good fighting, but you know, how many times does Team Caliber have to see this CC chain and start hanging back a little bit more, just letting the tanks slowly push forward, let Li Ming do some of that damage. You know, Genji steps up, the Lucio steps up, the ETC power slide on her flank. They're securing a kill every single time they get that ETC Malfurion combo.
Yeah, it does seem a little over-aggressive so far for Caliber. They've definitely lost a couple of these picks just because of that. But for now, they're still in this one. They're about a half level behind, but the Immortals are up. Camp taken in pushing into the top lane here for Triton Heroes. So that's something that Caliber will have to answer to. Meanwhile, both teams looking to get towards the race here.
Yeah, some interesting towns as well. Tenacious Roots for Malfurion, looking to get more root resets. I mean, this is all that whole CC blow-up combo, and they're going to look to get that some more. It'll be interesting post-10 once you actually have Tyrael in these fights, helping give your teammates those shields, maybe dropping a Sanctification on a critical fight, to actually see how well that CC combo is going to hold up when Tyrael's now factored into it later.
Yeah, and Garuda is going to go up to the top here for a little bit of defense. ETC does not bring a whole lot of damage to the Immortal, so I do like this call, but can they punish him for it? No level 10 for Team Caliber as they come down. The mosh pit's going to land onto just the Tyrael. Scooby getting a little bit low, but a big cancel there onto Gorkanoff on that Twilight Dream. Jazz comes in with a Dragon Strike, is dealing a lot of damage. The Judgment comes in to finish off a kill onto the Tychus. Roselius also in trouble, the last remaining member. The Bunker will come out to try and at least stall this, but the Immortal is in the top lane, but they're not going to be able to follow it up here at all, Dankstrom.
No, that was a great turnaround. I mean, they got a mosh, but they weren't able to secure a kill. Team Caliber gets 10s right then, and I don't know if Judgment was a snap pick, but let's just say I was not expecting that.
Yeah, so we'll quickly go over these level 10s for you guys. It is going to be that Judgment along with Sound Barrier, Wave of Force, Blessed Shield, and Dragon Strike for Team Caliber. Over for the side of Triton Heroes, we're going to see Twilight Dream with the Mosh Pit, Drop Bunker. We're going to see the Water Elemental coming out for Jaina, and the Commandeer Odin. So, pretty standard heroics across the board. We see some rings, some Water Elementals, so that's kind of always a toss-up. Except for that Judgment. What do you think about this Judgment here?
I'm not exactly sure. That's why I said I don't know if it's a just needed snap pick to try to win that fight, so nothing gets snowballed with that Immortal. But I think what they want to do is get on the Malfurion or Jaina as part of this combo with that Judgment. But unfortunately, both of them are going to have Ice Block. So I'm not really sure what the point of this Judgment is after that.
Yeah, level 13 Malfurion will be able to pick up the Ice Block. Level 20 for Jaina, I believe. Or actually, it's based on the damage. That's right.
Yep. I mean, she's only a third of the way there. She only has 5,000 damage with the 15 she needs, but holy cow, man! I mean, once you get to Ice Block, your Judgment targets get a lot harder to hit.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Tychus, who does have, a lot of extra armor if he does go ahead and pop the Odin. So he becomes a pretty difficult target to focus down. But I don't know, it does kind of seem to fit with the general dive strategy with the Genji. So maybe just trying to help somebody, help him out with the dive, at least have somebody on there that dives in with him. But for now, we do see Caliber trying to grab their Shaman camp, and Triton Heroes is here. They have Mosh Pit available. Garuda's going to come in, and they're going to start to pressure. Jazz goes in on the back end. We do see the Commandeer Odin come out. Scooby actually does go ahead and Judgment up to him. They're trying to pressure him on the back end. Interrupted Mosh. Twilight Dream comes out, and right now this is going to be a steal for Triton Heroes. They also get the kill on Johanna. A very nice win here for Triton.
Yeah, you just saw, the problem with Judgmenting the Water Elemental value right there. So... I think that was Water Elemental. It might have been a Frostbolt.
I think it was just the Frostbolt Q going through the wall and making its way back to kill. Oh my goodness. That was pretty... It's clutch.
Yeah, so you actually saw that fight. The exact problem with trying to Judgment the Tychus as well. He just pops Odin as soon as that circle comes out underneath him. He kind of avoids all of that, gets 25% armor, and then you get a bunker drop near him. You see Odin hopping in and out of the bunker, which is also kind of funny. And he's just, they can't kill him. The Judgment, I don't think, is enough to secure a kill on any of this backline.
So for now, we will see the defensive posturing by these Immortals. Scooby starting to get poked down a little bit low by the side of Triton, but we do have both teams engaging once again in the mid here. Blessed Shield coming out along with the Ice Block on the back end. Clutchdock will receive that Judgment. Nice slide from Garuda to try and zone, but ultimately the resets are in, and this time everything's going in the way of Team Caliber. 3-0. Make it 4-0, and Garuda is going to have to walk away. The sole member left for Triton Heroes.
Yeah, Jaina is only 3,000 damage away now from getting her own Ice Block, which probably would have saved her. I thought that was a great fight at the beginning. They drop the bunker. You have a big chase. You're getting Team Caliber down very low. But Team Caliber smartly just disengaged, wait for that bunker to drop, wait for that 25 bonus armor to drop, and then just destroyed the other team.
After that big team fight win, we'll see Caliber picking up the Immortal. Will be about half shield, which is pretty strong at this phase in the game. And it's going to be pushing on to the top fort front wall here, which all the structure is still available for Triton. So Team Caliber's got a ways to go before they're really back into this one, but we will start to see the defense coming out for Triton Heroes, because they do throw out a nice combo from Jaina, some damage from this Odin, And already the shields are gone here, Dank.
Yeah, it's doing good. You pop that Odin early, the Jaina damage when she's able to do it safely behind the wall. ETC in a really bad situation to power slide out, and they should just be giving up this this fort probably.
Fort is being chunked. Even talent tiers for the moment, but we'll see Scooby going in with the Judgment. Dragon Blade on the back end does end up getting Twilight Dreamed, though. Big Twilight Dream coming in from Korkinoff. Genji gets blown up, and they are starting to turn this around. The bunker comes out as well to be able to help zone and keep them sustained. And for now, Triton Heroes will turn and look to chase a little bit, but finally they will let Team Caliber limp away here, and the Immortal will fall.
Yeah, they had a really clutch, actually, mosh on 2 or 3 just for a few seconds. I let them delay the fight out, kill the Genji. I let that Immortal go past them, actually, and take that fight behind the Immortal. They lost part of a wall, but they're okay with that trade. They probably would have liked to get more kills than just the Genji, and I think they want to be sharking for a fight before 16, and while Genji's not here.
Rosalius getting a little bit too close for his own taste there. Will have to charge his way on out, but for now everything's going to be okay. But you mentioned it, the level 16s are here for Team Caliber. They are not nearly anywhere near where Triton is on the structures right now, but they have that level lead, which could end up being invaluable as we head into towards the back end of this game.
Yeah, I mean, now that you're Team Caliber, you can play super aggressive. You can come up here, try to steal any mercs. The other team can't contest you for another 30 seconds, or at least shouldn't be in this case, and that's what Triton's doing. They're just backing up. They want to see what's happening, and they're not going to fight too hard. They just want to soak and keep an eye, know where their team's at.
I do like that call from Triton. You know, it does stink losing your camp there, but it's very easily cleared in this phase of the game. You're so close to getting your level 16s and being able to bring an even talent fight to Team Caliber, and you'll be able to do that right in time for these Immortals to spawn. So very good macro play there from Triton, very patient.
Yeah, and some really influential level 16 talents. Herodic Reforging Ontario, you're going to get Holy Ground up that much more often. Rejuvenencia actually is additional percentage-based healing. I'm surprised they didn't go another one. I think they probably got a little more healing out of that, but it's still... Lucio's 16 is a huge power spike for his team. And they do secure 16, but they need to pick those towns quick because the fight's coming.
A huge charge in there from Tyrael, stunning and knocking back multiple members. Jaina gets blown up. We will see the mosh being interrupted on the back end here as well. Korkinoff on the wrong end of this team fight. He is very, very low. The members are zoning for him, but John is trying to get after him. My Mom is Cool on the back end with this Odin, looking to take down Enigma, but they do make it away with the speed. And for now, it looks like it's only Jaina, but John might be joining him in the grave on the other end. He gets rooted, taking so much damage. Jazz goes to the back end, and now he's the one caught on the wrong side. He will have to swift strike away. And somehow, in all that mayhem, we only lose the Jaina.
And she was lost immediately. She ran away from where the bunker got dropped and backed up, and so she died immediately. Karakov, I can't believe he even lived. He had such low life. He was able to sneak off to a bush and evade that Genji eventually.
Now Garuda taking a ton of harassment here. Bunker goes down, and Garuda is going to get in it to save his life for the moment. Scooby taking a lot of damage as well. He is going to end up going down. He will look to try and get after somebody, but the Boop actually zoning the members away, preventing him from getting an explosion on anyone. Meanwhile, Brazalius getting low. They're trying to get that reset in for Seiyu back, but they are not quite able to do it. They turn and kill the Genji on the back end. Now it's a 5v3 for Triton Heroes. They'll get a third kill, and now they're going to be looking at Enigma and Seiyu back, the only 2 members left for Team Caliber.
So, you know, the last few fights have answered a few things about how are you going to get onto Team Caliber's you know, rear line, the Li Ming, the Lucio, everything else like there. You've seen Water Elemental being that chase hero, almost that 6th hero. Even after Jaina dies, she microed that Water Elemental, and she might as well have been there. It was still attacking, still slowing, still doing good damage.
I had never thought of Water Elemental that way. It is basically a 6th hero, isn't it? So,
kind of. I mean, it's not huge, but the harass that it provided, just the damage, and Jaina was still there, basically. I mean, she was dead, but she's still controlling that thing from the grave.
Now, this is an interesting macro call for Triton. They go down to the bottom lane and clear while one member of Caliber was still down. They will eventually rotate in here, but now all 5 members are back for Team Caliber. So Triton Heroes maybe missing a little bit of an opportunity there to force. But now all 5 members are back. Judgment is going to come up on Tychus. Is going to avoid the stun there by popping the Odin. But we will see them start to turn and deal a little bit of damage. Good poke potential here for Triton for the moment.
Yeah, and Water Mountain is down. It was popped on Genji early on the back line and zoned him out for a little bit, but they burned that Water Mountain down really quickly. Jaina does have an Ice Block available now.
Slide will come in on the back end onto Enigma. They look to focus and charge in from Brazilius. Sound barrier will be popped in time, though. Jazz is going to come in on the back end with that Dragon Strike as well. They're trying to get the reset. ETC falls, and here comes the resets in. And Li Ming is going to completely dominate the rest of this team fight. Ice Block will just be a stall tactic here for Clutch Doc. And a full team ace for Team Caliber.
Holy cow. So that Dragon Strike, it was fun. It was on one side, just hitting up Immortal stuns on another. Johanna just keeping them in there, letting that Dragon Strike do so much work. And then the Li Ming Calamity cleans it up. And I mean, look how low. It's 1,100 damage left on that Immortal. That's how close that Triton Heroes was to winning that.
Incredibly close. The poke from the Odin and from Jaina almost enough. And yes, Summer Ash, you are indeed correct. Some very spicy team fights coming out in this one, and Game 1 on Battlefield of Eternity already this series.
So I like this call from Caliber. You know, we don't have a huge Immortal. Let's just pressure this top, keep trying to pull it up there, and let the Immortal work through that fort. They're not going to get much else, so let's threaten the keep instead.
Garuda with a very nice face melt there to scout out that bush. And notice that Team Caliber is there. Multiple members missing. I like that call. And you're right, this is a good macro play, but on the other end, Triton Heroes also just allowing that bottom fort to be forfeit. But now the choice is going to start to come as the Punisher, or the Immortal I should say, starts to head towards the front wall of that keep.
Yeah, and you secure level 20 with that play as well. You bring them up there and you don't really lose out on much at all.
Level 20 is now in for Caliber. They will rotate to the bottom lane to start on this bottom keep. The Immortal has gotten through the front wall. We'll take a couple swipes at the well, and now we'll start chunking down this keep. Very, very aggressive positioning here from Caliber. Garuda's going to slide in, but we will see the Dragon Strike pop. He goes in and is getting a lot of damage out. Scooby's getting very low. Korkinoff with a huge Twilight Dream into the Mosh, but the Mosh still gets interrupted. Now Tychus is going to fall. Resets are now in for Seiyu back. He's going to blow up Jaina. Rosalius is on the wrong end, and now this is a 1-for-3 for Team Caliber, and it's looking pretty grim for them.
Yeah, again, they have trouble getting down to the damage dealers. It'll be interesting. You know, Lucia wants to back up, heal up. I don't think they want to end right here, but I'm just not sure they have the mana resources to do so.
Yeah, and you know, you do lose that 1-for-3, but that actually, when you look at it, could have been worse for Team Caliber. They could have ended up losing the game, or for Triton Heroes, I should say. They could have ended up losing the game right there, down the 20, but instead they are able to push them off here, force them to at least regroup, and it gives more time for the 20s to come in for Triton.
And Sayubak's playing it great. He's making sure he's staying out of any range of ETC Mosh at this point, and getting the interrupt whenever he needs to. So that's really been saving. I mean, that's where you look at Triton's turnaround is, you know, we want to Mosh into a Twilight Dream and Jaina Blizzard. And they're, you know, Team Caliber is just not giving it to them. They'll get a second or two, but that's it. Then Li Ming just makes sure it stops.
Triton Heroes behind all game long so far in the structures, but finally cashing in on that level advantage. But level 20 is going to be here for Triton, so at this point, it all comes down to the team fights. It all comes down to the macro play and the decision making, and just how well can you coordinate as a team.
Winter Mute now, it's another huge power spike for Jaina. Might as well make it a 6.5 hero at this point. So it mimics all of her basic abilities now for an extra 50%. 50% damage. As long as she's alive, they just increase their damage potential.
The Water Elemental's been working out, man. We're going to start to see it here. We will see the side of Triton Heroes coming in for the defense. We do have the camp pushing in the bot lane, so that's something that Triton's going to have to take care of. They do send Jaina down to start to clear some, and as soon as Team Caliber sees that, they'll rotate in. They'll go ahead and take this to halftime.
Yeah, I think that's a smart call on Triton. You don't want that threatening your core. Let it go to halftime and look for the team fight. That's your win condition now as Triton Heroes is look for a flank. Be somewhere that Caliber does not expect you to be. Get that flank. You need ETC to get on there. You need that water elemental on the side. You need that work done.
It's a pretty nice spawn for Triton Heroes, but also not a terrible spawn for Team Caliber. That bottom lane is going to continue to pressure with the catapults the longer this goes on, so it seems like Team Caliber not in a huge hurry here to force.
Yeah, no, you don't need to be. Just let him pull it away. Go get some more poke damage. You just want to play it safe. You have the poke game on your side, and you have Lucio and Johanna for escape. You know, speed out, get an iron skin. You don't give Triton the engage, and I think you can continue to win this. That's why I want to see Triton look for a flank. Go somewhere else that they're not supposed to be at. So you gotta look for picks and forcing that somewhere.
Do have Jazz on the back end here. Went down to clear a little bit in the bot lane. Could end up trying to get a flank here. Triton Heroes starting to push in just a little bit. Starting to get a little bit of poke damage on their own. Jazz now again poking in from the back end. And this has got to be annoying. Triton Heroes can't seem to find an engage.
No, they can't. That's why they're playing very standard. They're playing right in this middle section. You need to get an ETC and somebody else over on a flank somewhere. You gotta surprise them and look for an engage where they're not looking for it.
Core is starting to be pressured here for Triton Heroes. They have got to go. The top lane also pushing into a little bit for Triton Heroes, but not nearly as worrisome as the shield's starting to get chipped away by these catapults that have built up in the bottom lane. They go in, they get the two-man slide, they get the mosh pit on the back end, and a huge Twilight Dream to blow up the Lucio, but they turn around and get the Jaina in response. A 1-for-1 as the bunker is out there, stepping in and out of the bunker to get that extra armor. Scooby taking a lot of damage. He is going to be under all kinds of pressure. Brazilius not quite able to get him, though, with the charge in and the stun. Say it back trying to come in and get a reset. They get it onto Blaze, and they're going to be looking to turn it into more as ETC goes down. They charge in onto Korkanov, and they're getting him very low. But meanwhile, back at the core, that's going to be game for Team Caliber.
I like the engage that Triton Heroes at the end. They let's force it. Even if it's underneath their immortal, let's force it. And ETC gets a good power slide, a good Twilight Dream off. I didn't see what happened to Jaina if she had her ice block down or if she wasn't getting the bunker in time, but I think losing that was one of the biggest issues with them winning that last team fight. She died almost instantly.
Yeah, and just big problems there for Triton Heroes. They just were not able to force fast enough. Team Caliber, almost just allowing them to force, if nothing else, just to allow the catapults to get the pressure there. So very smart macro play from Team Caliber. Very strong decision-making all around and just good positioning at the end of that game. They definitely earned themselves this game number 1.
Yeah, the poke was great. I didn't really think about that Lucio, Johanna, Tyrael, but they were all just zoning everything out and speed up. And they never, after post-level 10, there wasn't many times that they let the other team engage on them well. They were able to disrupt it quite often, and it was really well played for that poke composition they ran.
All right, so we will be moving on to game number 2. Going to be reaching out to our team captains here to see what exactly these guys want to do. So it'll be up to Triton Heroes whether or not they want to take the map pick or the first pick, first ban. Let's go ahead and see what these guys want to do. In this situation, Dank, do you usually like to take map pick or first pick?
If I was on the side of Triton Heroes?
Yes.
I would go with map pick. Find something you're comfortable with that that how to draft around, essentially. And I missed whose map pick was this? Actually, was this Caliber's or Triton's for playing Battlefield of Eternity?
Yeah, so this was Team Caliber's map pick. So they elected to take the map pick off of winning that coin toss. And you can tell that they have a very good understanding of BOE and did a very good job executing that strategy.
Yeah, so I would definitely go to a favorite map pick. Best of 3, go something you're comfortable with. You guys know how to draft and play around, and use that to your advantage. You know, you don't want to just get first pick on an unknown map, something you're not comfortable with. I really like picking map pick when you're down a game at this point.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Also, Brown Bala, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. So we are going to see... Let's see. Haven't heard anything back from Korkinoff yet. These guys are probably taking a moment to regroup and think about what they want to do.
Korkinoff just messaged me. He's going to take map pick, it says.
Okay. All right. So then the question becomes, what map?
I'll message you the map. He just sent it to me here.
All right.
So
Queen.
I know you do some highlights as well, Jay. I think you got 3 or 4 highlights just out of that match alone. There was amazing. Speaking of Karkinoff, amazing how he was able to escape a Genji. I think around the level 13 fight in bot lane. The Genji play in general with Dragon Blade, threatening the flanks, the back line, just little brief sword swipes in, but keeping his distance so he wasn't taking any damage in that pressure he put on.
Right. So we're going to move on to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Of course, also a pretty unique map here in Heroes of the Storm. All about the wave clear, very little camp priority on this map a lot of the time. And really, it's just all about getting those turn-ins and often about momentum on Tomb.
Yeah, and wave clear, especially on Tomb, is going to be incredibly important. I didn't necessarily see Team Caliber draft a lot of wave clear. Triton definitely had a little bit more in a map that wasn't really oriented to needing lots of wave clear. But Tomb is very much oriented to needing lots and lots of wave clear. I'd expect to see another Jaina come out, running that same sort of pick-off kind of works. And on Tomb, especially early on in those rotations, trying to interrupt them.
Yeah, the rotational game is something that people often try to account for on this map, so it's something that can be very influential, can favor that sort of Lucio and extra speed kind of strategy. But just in general, interesting to see how these teams prioritize in this draft, where they want to go with this.
And so Triton is pick a map pick first this time, which gives Caliber first pick. It'll be interesting to see that play around Maeve and see what sort of mages you want to prioritize, whether it's a Gul'dan or Jaina, or even a Chromie on this map as well.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those maps where Chromie was first popularized, so wouldn't be surprised to see that prioritized pretty highly. You also occasionally will see the Stitches kidnap strategy here, so we'll have to see exactly if these teams got anything up their sleeves. As we start to get closer to the end of this series, sometimes some weird strategies can come out, because this is it, for the side of Triton Heroes. They lose this game here, it's over for the season for them.
Yeah, so this is a semifinal game. The next game after this is going to be the finals. Is that right?
This is quarterfinals, actually.
Quarterfinals, okay.
Yes. So next week will be the Final Four, and then the championship, which will be coming out, I believe the Sunday after that. The Sunday after.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. A division different from the rest. They had 8 teams seeded all in at the same time rather than the 4 from each coast. So
yes.
This should be a fun match, though. I'm really interested in seeing also that bot lane Blaze seemed impactful, but Team Caliber very much seemed like they knew how to handle it. We'll play around it, wait it out, and we'll still get that damage in afterwards.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I feel like this game, the game one, could have gone either way. Both of these teams seem to be very evenly matched. And just in general, I'm really excited to see, once we flip the script here and Triton is on their map pick, how much is that going to affect the outcome of this game number 2 in terms of them trying to force it to game 3?
I'm sorry, I lost you there. What? Just doing the map pick, you mean?
Yeah, how big a difference the map pick is going to make, but also, you know, because these guys are fairly evenly matched, so I'm going to be interested to see the effect on that, if that's going to be able to make the difference between them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge difference. In that comfort, you know what you're going to draft to, go to your comfort picks. It'll be really easy, especially if you go to your map and start controlling that early game, that confidence from any sort of rattle you have from losing that first game is just going to get smoothed out. So, you know, if they want to try to rebuild that confidence, go with a little bit more of a earlier snowball type comp, get that wave clear, and just start rolling into Team Caliber. With that said, I think Team Caliber plays really, really smartly with their positioning and how they play around the map. Last game you saw them post level 10 not really give Triton the engages they wanted and had the tools to counter engage when they needed to. You know, they left when that bunker was dropped quite often. They threatened to keep Let Immortal, get them the free level 20 without any danger to themselves. So even with that, I think Team Caliber can play this really smart.
All right, so we are going into game number 2, Tomb of the Spider Queen, and instantly we see Maya being banned out by Caliber. Now we're going to see the Tyrael ban coming out from Triton, so a little bit of a respect ban there as they take out Tyrael.
They don't want to deal with Tyrael again, even not even having to deal with Sanctification, but just that level 1 talent of the 100% shields on your allies. Especially if they want to go with any sort of Gul'dan or Jaina blow up, I think removing that's a good option. So again, I think it'll be interesting how both teams play around the Blaze options here.
Yeah, there are quite a few very high-profile picks here available for Caliber. Could end up trying to go with the Malfurion early if they want to look at maybe stealing that away from what Triton was doing last game to maybe go for a Tracer comp. They could end up trying to go for the ETC, which we've seen very highly prioritized, or you mentioned it, the Blaze, strong solo lane, especially now that Tyrael's off the board. You know, it's really up to Caliber what they want to prioritize.
Last second lock into the Genji, which is kind of surprising to me.
How could we forget about the Shimada brothers and that big long list of things that you prioritize? But Genji seeming to be a central part of Caliber's strategy and success this last game. So they're going to go back to the well with the Dragon Blade and the very, very strong dive potential that Genji brings.
Yeah, and there's something to be said as well of, you know, how do you want to play around the healer that Genji's going to have? You're going to let a Malfurion so he gets heals from a distance. You're going to let him have a Uther, which gives him some armor and Divine Shield, Dragon Blade possibilities. You know, I think that's a lot of pressure, but I would like to see him respond with the Blaze still. I think that's a really good option for Triton Heroes. It has a good wave clear, it has a 40-second bunker, drop it whenever you like. It'll be back to your next team fight.
So we will see the 2 picks coming up for Triton. What are they going for? So they are going to take the other Shimada brothers. Hanzo gives quite a bit of wave clear potential on this map. Also, just in general, can give you a lot of good vision for these turn-ins to give you an idea of where the enemy team is. And of course, ETC. You know, you can't let that go to the second ban phase without picking it up. So they'll go ahead and they're going to try it out this game.
And the Hanzo, I'm interested in seeing what they're looking for that. They definitely get good vision control with Hanzo and ability to interrupt some turn-ins with some scatter angles, you know, simple geometry type things. But what sort of tank? So if you're on the side of Triton, you look at a possibility of a tank choke of one sort or another here. Either you can ban out a main tank and then also pick up Blaze or something else you want for your soul lane, ban out a Blaze, pick up Malthael actually is not a horrible option here either, just because the wave clear he brings.
Yeah, and a very strong solo laner as well. I expect Malthael to be banned out by one of these teams, but You mentioned chokeholds. Team Caliber picking up Malfurion here does have the opportunity to try and chokehold in the healer department if they want to go in that direction. Lucio, Stukov, and Uther all still available, as well as Alexstrasza. So a lot of good options. Don't know if it's really worth the ban, but it looks like it might just be the Blaze ban out here from Triton, like you had mentioned.
Yeah, well, that means they don't want the Blaze themselves. Triton had that option, like we don't have to ban this out. We can get it ourselves. Even if they didn't want to play that, maybe ban out something else and let Caliber ban it out for you. Even having Blaze go this late in the draft is somewhat surprising. It's maybe just telling that the teams aren't necessarily comfortable with playing him, actually.
Yeah, also a very interesting pickup on the Greymane. We did see the Li Ming reset comp coming in last game from Caliber. This time deciding to go with the Greymane, who's got a little bit better wave clear. Li Ming not quite as popular here on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but still a lot the same strategy that they were going with the last game.
Yeah, I haven't seen these two teams play previously, but they matched each other probably at least once during the regular season. It's really interesting to see these drafts play out. It's not necessarily as you might expect. There's definitely some strengths on both teams, ETC and Genji prioritization. And there's your Lucio ban you talked about a second ago.
So they do go ahead and apply the chokehold. I do like the Lucio ban. It is very good for the additional rotational ability, that speed that you're able to give your team in those rotations. So we are going to see that banned out. That begs the question for Triton now. What healer do they want to go with? Do they want to save that for last, like we saw Team Caliber do last game? Or do they want to maybe save a little bit of damage? Or possibly even the solo lane. You could save the solo lane for the last choice here. Get an idea of what Team Caliber's solo lane is going to be like, and then choose to counter that.
Yeah, I would almost them rather, unless they want to pick up the Malthael right now, just wait and try to pick a counter. I think Malthael probably should be one of their choice on that solo lane. I think he works in this composition against that other team right now.
Yeah, I agree. If I'm Triton Heroes, I'm picking up the Malthael right now. They don't want to let Caliber have that with the reset comp, but they are going to go ahead and let it through. They get the Sonya, they're going to grab the Uther, and they're going to save kind of that flexible last pick to see what they want that backline damage to be. Could be a Chromie, could be possibly a Gul'dan for the extra wave clear, but this opens up a lot of opportunities for Team Caliber, in my opinion.
Yeah, Malthael, they need a main take. Let's see, what do they got to deal with? Hanzo, Sonya, Uther, ETC. I still kind of like an Ubrak option here, and then Malthael for your offlane.
Now, the Malthael, I think, can also be very strong in this comp with the idea of the Genji resets, and even the go for the throat. But, Last Right's very strong for helping Genji get those resets and continue to be able to dash around the team fight and get to those priority targets.
Yeah, you have a ranged... an Ubrak stun that'll help you with that blow up. You have the option of cocooning the Uther or the ETC, whichever one you don't want to deal with. But there's also, I want to point out, a lot of stuns coming out on the side of Triton Heroes. So I would have to expect some sort of burst. Well, maybe different now that you have those two last picks, which I am assuming is going to be a Stitch's solo lane.
Yeah,
I could be wrong on that because Stitch's Malfurion Greymane is an instant blow up, but I just don't see Johanna as as a solo lane option that a whole lot. So
she could do it. She's got decent wave clear. She's also it's hard to gank. Tell me who is harder to gank in this game than Johanna. I'll wait.
I think Johanna's job in this case then is probably just to stall the lane out just in front of her own towers. She can take that herself. She'll be fine, and just hold that wave on her side. Don't let Sonya give her any opportunities, really. So
yeah, a very interesting draft from Caliber. I honestly didn't see the Stitches and the Johanna coming. That would have been probably my 100th choice in terms of what their option would be. So we are going to see the Zarya coming out. So we've seen Zarya falling off in the meta more and more steadily recently. But good pushing potential. good kind of second, pseudo support, and good burst prevention.
Yeah, definitely. The second pseudo support is probably what they're drafting her here specifically for. Just because Uther has a long cooldown, Zarya can help mitigate those and drop shields in between and help make sure Genji and Greymane don't get those resets. It's also a good response to a Stitches. Somebody gets hooked, you get a shield on them immediately. At least they might survive that initial bit of Greymane Genji burst damage until Uther can get in range for a heal.
It also guarantees quite a lot of energy coming your way when you do make that play as well.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, we talked about wave clear this last time, and I'd almost want to arguably say that Team Caliber actually has more in this case. I mean, Sonya has good wave clear. If Hanzo goes Q blow up talent, he might have some okay wave clear, but you have Stitches, Johanna, Greymane. Those are all pretty decent amount of wave clear for their team.
All right, so we are loading in here into game number 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Team Caliber looking to close this out with a 2-0 victory and punch their ticket into the top 4. We're going to have John on the Johanna, Enigma on the Malfurion, Say You Back on the Greymane, Jazz on the Genji, and we're going to have Scooby on the Stitches.
And for the Summer Triton Heroes, we're going to have Clutch Doc on the Sonya this time, Karakov on the Uther, Garuda on Zarya, My Mom Is Cool over on Hanzo, and Bezalius on ETC.
So right away, we will be seeing Sonya go to the bot lane. Insta hook there by Scooby, able to find out, able to get the Zarya, but no real follow up potential there this time around. But that'll get easier and easier. And you're right, it is going to be the Stitches going down into the solo lane.
Yeah, and there's Bezalius getting CC'd. I don't think he's going to make it out. No, he's not.
And there is the follow-up from Team Caliber. Who needs the Stitches hook when they just slide right into you like that, I suppose? And that's going to be first blood for Team Caliber.
Yeah, Uther almost has his level 1 Q quest almost halfway done already, just from that blow-up and getting that armor down. You got to pause?
All right.
So with that, if we have a pause for a few seconds from Scooby, looks like he's down there. I don't know if anybody's disconnected yet, but possibly some sort of mechanical or technical issue. But for talents, really quick, you do have Uther going Silver Touch Q talents level 1. On Hanzo with his Redemption Auto Attack, Block Party for ETC, Demolition Expert for Zarya at 1, so also going on Q Quest. And then Sonya kept her talent for a long time, but she ended up going War Paint for that extra healing. And pretty standard on the side of Team Caliber. Damage for Stitches is Heavy Slam, Nature Swiftness for Malfurion, Swift as the Wind for Genji, a Q build for the Greymane, Perfect Aim, and then Laws of Hope for Johanna.
All right, so we are back in here. Looks like we got everything settled. But for now, rotational game being won a bit by Team Caliber, but that could probably be chalked up to that early game kill, and that pressure should even out here pretty soon for Trey.
And actually, the bottom lane, Jazz and Scooby had a nice rotation down that almost killed Clutch Doc. Clutch Doc's having to tap the well. And Scooby's, just his abilities to sustain is actually working out really well against Clutch Doc so far.
Maybe somebody's finally found the answer to Sonya in the solo lane. It's actually Stitches. Who would have known? But
yeah, I mean, he's just out there. He wants some health. He'll E her, take some damage out. His wave clear is pretty excellent, and he's just a giant meat pack of hit points. And Greymane's actually snuck down outside of vision. He's going to take these bottom mercs.
Very strong power play down here by Team Caliber. Once again, showing off the macro, showing off the early aggression, and the fact that they had a plan coming out here, even though this isn't their map pick on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, I can only imagine that Clutchdock must be tilted a little bit having to deal with his stitches and it not working out very well. And yeah, they're just looking for a nice early towers in the bottom lane down here. Actually going to 4-man by Team Caliber.
I like this call. They also leave Johanna in the mid lane. She's going to be rotating around and doing the double soak game for as long as Caliber is down here. And it doesn't look like they're going to stay too long, but Clutchdock goes in trying to whirlwind. That's in a little bit of trouble from Jazz there. I think if Say You Back had been ready to follow that up, that would have been an easy kill and almost still gets it with the cocktail.
Clutchdock's got to hide and back here now, finally. So with Garuda, I'd like to see Garuda just start going up and tanking some towers and try to return some of this damage from her shields herself.
Yeah, the response has got to be here from Triton Heroes. If you are not willing or are not able to go down and answer this push here from Team Caliber, you got to get some counter push on the other end. So right now, the side of Caliber just kind of having their way with this game number 2.
It's going to be a level and a half, level 7 advantage as well once Team Caliber gets this. And it was all out of that, this stitches into the Sonya bot lane. They get those mercs, and then they immediately just throw 4 down there. Let's get a 2 towers. I think it was the original plan, and they got so much more by getting that fort.
They almost have the turn-in secured here. Say You Back just barely getting interrupted there at the last second by that Uther wave of light, but they do have almost all they need in there, and it does look like they're going to rotate down, and Greymane is going to secure the Web Weavers. So this 1-level lead could be getting even worse now for the side of Triton.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, they've opened up this bottom lane so much already. It kind of gives Stitches the advantage to go with the other 4 guys, and they can go push in mid and top while Sonya's stuck on bottom trying to de-push this spider.
The Weavers will end up coming out deep into the top lane. Scooby caught out a little bit here, but should be able to walk away. Stitches still has quite a lot of health to be able to deal with that. Actually, going ahead and grabbing Garuda to stall out the Web Weaver, but instantly 4 members up in the top lane melting through this top fort, and they're going to start to look towards taking the second fort of the game here.
Yeah, this Genji and Greymane are just doing work on this, and Scooby's doing a great job of just interrupting the rotation so that they easily are able to secure that top fort.
Once again, Hook landing onto Garuda. They look to come down and pressure, but for now, fort is down. Webweaver is marching in towards the top keep. Going to be getting a little bit of damage off that keep front wall. And for now, Team Caliber going to look to rotate and pressure in the mid lane now.
Yeah, it's a great set of roots down there. Johanna just going to pop the Iron Skin to try to tank these and work on these towers.
Roselius with a very aggressive slide in. Takes a lot of damage in return, and it's going to take a little while before Korkanov can get him healed back up from that.
If you're Triton, this is the fight. You want everybody here and take that up before they take this fort. That's level 10, and it gets a lot worse from there. You want a good power. There's a good power slide right here. Get Jaina in there.
Clutchdock ends up falling off of that 3-man slide from Roselius. They get the heals on him to bring him back up. Now John trying to get away, taking a lot of damage though. Jazz gets slid on, and that's going to be a second kill. Some gems hitting the floor as well, and that's exactly what Triton Heroes needed to give them a little bit of breathing room here, as level 10s are right on the horizon for Caliber.
I'd like to see them start aggroing their back camp just to get that extra push, because they're going to be pushing these spiders into level 10. And if you get those extra mercs pushing and that spell armor, it's going to be a lot easier. I mean, now you're level down into level 10, and it's going to be dangerous wherever you go now, even with the spider.
Yeah, I gotta question the macro play there. They had the breathing room to get back out into the lane, soak up the level 10. Then Caliber was not anywhere near what they needed for a turn-in. So instead, like you said, now level 10s are still here for Caliber. They still have all of their heroics available for this defense. This should be a very easy clear for them.
Yeah. I hope to see maybe a Zarya try to just, cheese a wall, get the shields, get some damage, catch up that XP. You do that right now. You're level 10 actually, with part of a fourth wall down. And then you get your turn in.
And Team Caliber electing to go ahead and just clean up the Web Weavers, not wanting to be too overly aggressive onto Triton Heroes. It was a long way home for them up in the top lane. They could have engaged past the Web Weaver, but now they're going to look to maybe get in and harass a little bit. But now level 10s are right here for Triton. They should be able to pick these up.
And I like that. Scooby throws out a hook to try to get Clutch Dock, and immediately Root from Malfurion comes out. You know, that's that sort of coordination is what you want to look for in a team, and that sort of trust, and that, you know, every time you throw out a hook, I'm going to get a Root down there, so if it lands, we can secure that kill.
So we do see level 10s coming in for both teams. It is going to be Gorge, along with the Twilight Dream, Dragon Blade, along with the Cursed Bullet and Blessed Shield for Team Caliber. Over on the side of Triton Heroes, they're going to be going with the Blessed Shield, Dragon's Arrow, Mosh Pit, Expulsion Zone, and the Wrath of the Berserker. Anything catching you by surprise there, think?
Oh, nothing really catching me by surprise. I kind of like this the Stitch's Gorge composition, which is going to happen right now, and then you have Twilight Dream just to help blow him up afterwards. But a very nice Mosh Pit actually underneath this. He's got to keep him alive with this Uther though.
We will see him able to get that kill secured. Jazz on the back end trying to pick somebody up, though. They do end up getting the ETC off of that Dragon Blade and the damage coming in. Garuda getting hooked once again. Clutchrock on the wrong end of this. So big Mosh Pit, but we do end up seeing Caliber turn around and end up with the 1-for-2, getting the favorable end of that team fight.
Yeah, and some of the setup that Team Caliber did, instead of dropping the Root from Malfurion, he actually dropped it to zone off the rest of the team so nobody else can really save him. Because of that, you had to use Uther had to use Divine Shield over any other abilities or any other kind of engages to try to save the Sonya out of that. A lot of big things just to save that one hero. I think mostly because you got a Root down right there that zoned him out.
So now we will see Caliber picking up their second set of Web Weavers here. They do have the 13 talent tier, and again, I gotta really commend the macro play from Caliber. They are doing a very nice job of timing up these Web Weavers to be able to either get them these talent advantages or take advantage of what they already have.
Yeah, just imagine that Mosh Pit with the Divine Shield. You know, it doesn't get stopped in. Sonya stays in and actually does damage to everybody. I just think how Team Caliber set up that gank was secured him that kill, or that whole team fight.
So we will see Team Caliber up in the top lane. Only 3 members on the defense. Sonya defending out the bottom. Web Weaver. This keep is pretty much forfeit at this point in the top lane. Rosalius is going to come in and look to engage. Dragon's Arrow splitting up the members of Triton, but not finding the mark. Jazz will go in. The Expulsion Zone going to try to zone them on the back end of that keep. Clutchdock backs and is going to be here for the defense, but for now it looks like Team Caliber is happy with their keep, and they're going to go ahead and walk away.
Yeah, Team Caliber playing so coordinated. This is, I mean, everything they're doing is so smart that, and all the engages and the pickoffs that they're getting, they're just playing this excellently.
Rosalius trying to slide in, trying to catch somebody. Caliber playing this very carefully. They get the front wall, not overstaying, and Caliber's really on here in game number 2.
Yeah, so let's say we're Triton heroes. How do we want to fight this? Again, you know, how do we get that engage on the other team?
Well, there it is. The slide in and the mosh pit, but
Yeah.
it's pretty quickly interrupted. The blow up coming in from Twilight Dream as well. Hanzo goes down pretty instantaneously. Rosalius having to get that Divine Shield, I should say. But we do also see Uther going down in the process, so that'll be the camp steal along with 2 more kills for Team Caliber as they head in towards level 16.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly the they're gonna go boss, but that wasn't exactly the thing that I think they wanted. They got a hook, and that was a desperation play from the ETC. Again, the Johanna saw it, heard the mosh, and just stood outside of it for a second. Okay, I can wait a second. This is gonna be Bless Shield in about half a second after ETC actually lands it. And then from there, you know, all she wrote really for Triton Hero Sports. Caliber has the initiative. They're forcing these engages. You know, they're trying to save their Triton Heroes is trying to save their teammates. They need to try to find a path in this game where they can play on their, in their own control what they want to do rather than always reacting to Team Caliber.
That will be rough for the remainder of this game, though, as level 16 comes in. The boss is marching into the top lane. Team Caliber posturing to put pressure onto this mid keep, so now Triton Heroes having to decide between defending the boss from the core and defending the keep from the members of Team Caliber. They will go towards the boss, but a huge fishing hook finding Garuda once again, and it has just been hook after hook. Garuda's been having a rough game.
Yeah, they had to use a Hanzo arrow just for the save. So again, all of their abilities are going to use defensively, and it's just, eventually they're going to run out of them. Now there goes Divine Shield, instantly respond to that hook.
We do see the face melt able to come in and interrupt the Twilight Dream, but it's back here in 2 seconds. Jazz putting so much pressure on now. We will see the Blessed Shield come in. Rosalius getting low. Clutchstock goes down. Root onto Korkinoff. Twilight Dream not even necessary. And they are going to look to the core. The GGs are being called out here. The Gorge just for good measure. And that is going to be it. Team Caliber wins this second game decisively. They close out the series and they will move on to the Final Four.
So what do you think, Jay? Is everyone going to play Stitches into Sonya in bot lane now? Or in the solo lane?
I think he might be the new solo lane god. You got to wonder, though, if that's a result as much in the nerfs to Sonya. She had received those nerfs, and then a glitch in the game kind of gave her strength back, but she was re-nerfed this last week. So how much do you think of that as a factor of just the changes to Sonya's kit?
They definitely hurt her ability, but I still think she's a great lane bully. I've never seen a Stitches Sonya matchup, but that's the weird thing about solo lanes. There's so many variety of matchups in weird characters and those interactions in the solo lane that you can get if you save your picks till last, like your solo lane pick, you can oftentimes counter their solo laner as long as you're, and I think that's what you might have saw happen here. They're going to go Sonya instead of Malthael. Well, we know because we've through some sort of scrims or some sort of research, we're going to play Stitches here, and Stitches is going to be our solo laner, and then at post level 10 when we Death Ball, he's just going to be a hook into mouth roots. It worked out perfectly.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and reach out to Team Caliber, see if we can get a quick interview for them here. Let's get a couple members, I think, into lobby with us. Worth noting that now Team Caliber will be advancing on to the Final Four to face Macro, Roni, and Cheese. They got a pretty tall order next week, but let's jump up to lobby 1 so we can get this interview.
All right.
So taking a quick look at the talents here, did you see anything out of the norm? Anything that was a big surprise in terms of these talent picks?
No, nothing really a big surprise out of either of these teams. I mean, Trient, I don't know why that was picked, but wasn't horrible. It just was a little bit more of an odd pickup out of everything else. Nothing else really stood out too much.
Yeah, I think it does definitely make sense with the Stitches and the idea of that first initial blow up, because it does scaling damage as well with that Treant. But and you're pretty much guaranteed the hook value. If you're able to get a lot of Stitches hooks, you're pretty much guaranteed that those roots are going to hit. So
yeah, it's always interesting when the Treant helps with your blow up. How much that thought process, I guess. Anyways, it helps with their damage.
Yeah, it's more damage, and it's easy damage. It's not super high skill damage like you get from the Genji or from the Greymane, where it's all based on positioning and timing. The timing for Stitches hook into roots is pretty easy. If you've got a Stitches that's going to hit a massive amount of those hooks, then you can be sure that those roots are going to be successful, and that is going to stack up. And as far as I know, there is no scaling limit. It's just a permanently repeatable quest, and yeah, it's every single one of those is going to give an extra 7 damage to the Treant.
Well, I think our interview guests are in here now, Jay. We got joined by Scooby and Enigma. How are you going, guys?
Good, man. How are you? How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic, but the real question is, you guys move on, win that 2-game series. How you guys feeling about the results of that of your match against Triton tonight?
Yeah, it feels good. We just have to get ready for the next matchup against Mac.
And that was going to be my next question. You guys look forward to next week against the #1 seed, Macaroni and Cheese, who has looked very dominant. What do you guys? What's your guys' feeling going into that matchup? Do you guys think you have a good matchup against them, or what in general is your thought process there?
Well, we lost against them during the season, but I feel like if we, focus, then we have a pretty decent chance against them.
I think there was a bit of a meta shift too when we played against them, so we have a better grasp of the meta now.
Do I vaguely remember something about a Cho'Gall in that matchup, or is that somebody else?
Did they Cho'Gall on us?
Yes, they did.
Anyway, Dank, do you have any questions for these guys?
Yeah, I got some questions for you guys. That first game, Battlefield of Eternity, both your teams were just punching each other like a set of street brawlers for quite a while in there until the mid game. What was the turning point for you guys that caused that turnaround and then that dominating late game?
I think it was more so just punishing even just the tanks coming in versus going past the backline. Our initial idea, I guess, was use judgment and go in for the backline kills, but that split us up a lot, causing our backline to get injured more. So when we realized that we can just destroy the tanks, we just switched up the strategy.
Yeah, so you swapped up your strategy to destroy the tanks. And speaking of tanks, game 2, Stitches soloing into Sonya, and he kind of just manhandled her a little bit. What was that? Was that some discovery you guys have in scrims? Just how much confidence you have on your Stitches player?
Well, Stitches has a lot of sustain and pretty decent wave clear, which Sonya also has, obviously. But I don't know. I like the matches with Stitches against Sonya.
Well, it wasn't just. I mean, Stitches, I would say, was probably the MVP of that game. I know you played him, Scooby. Early game he dominates the solo lane. Late game, I'm not sure how many hooks you missed, but it was way less than the ones you landed. And it caused Triton to have to respond to you guys. Is Stitches a pretty strong or pretty meta hero for you, or is it just on this map?
I think with certain maps like Tomb as well as certain comps, really well. He has very good lane clear sustain, as well as late game hooks can change games entirely. They've been running Stitches off lane in Europe and even in Korea on Tomb, and it's something that North America is slowly picking up on.
Yeah, first time I saw it, but I'm mostly convinced that that's pretty ingenious, actually. It was pretty cool to watch. Was there any point in either one of the games you guys felt threatened, or that the game was slowly going to be tilting away from you?
Game 1 was definitely a lot closer than we would have liked it to be. I think some of the fights were not as clean as we generally like to have it. Game 2 was a lot how in the rhythm we generally are.
Also, game 1, I accidentally misclicked Judgment. So we kind of
I knew it. I knew it.
You didn't have to tell him, man. That was
The answer earlier had me convinced that maybe that was part of your guys' game plan. But at the time, when you saw him, that's a misclick, or maybe it was a instant snap pick just to try to win that fight dive in the back line. Okay. You guys made it work, though. You worked around it. You guys figured it out. So.
Yeah.
Well played. I just that's for my questions. I want to say you guys played the macro game very, very well. Team's very talented. It was enjoyable to watch you guys in cast.
Yeah, thank you so much for casting. It was really fun.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Thanks for putting on a great show tonight. Congratulations for making it into the top 4, which is definitely a really awesome feat in and of itself. And good luck next week against Macaroni and Cheese.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Dankstrom, thank you very much for joining me. It was quite a lot of fun, and back together again. You feel free to come back anytime. Do you have any big shout-outs? Where can people find you? Give us the whole spiel.
Sure. I play Tank. Will probably be in a Division B team called the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit this next season on NGS. Besides that, I have a Twitter account at Dankstrom Hots. It's been a while since I've casted. This is my first time, so thanks for giving me the opportunity, Jay. But if that's the case, if I get back into it, I'll be on Twitch as well. Just want to thank the 2 teams for putting on that excellent series. And I saw at least one other guy I know out in the chat, Mockery. Thanks for showing up. And everybody else have a good evening, and thanks for supporting Jay here.
Thank you very much, Dank. It was an awesome having you back. You're definitely one of those classic casters. So I didn't think there was nearly as much rust as you're hyping it up to be, but you've definitely still got it, man. No problem for you.
That's okay. I'd be better as a sideline interviewer than a caster, so I'll take care of post game interviews. Everybody else can do the casting and game stuff.
Hey, I'm not a big fan of interviewing, so hey, I think that would work just perfect. But that's gonna do it for us tonight, guys.